Hey, greetings and welcome back. You know, it's November, which means that the first storms have lumbered into the Wasatch Mountains, bringing our glorious, long and warm autumn to an abrupt close. And while I do love winter, I find myself wanting to hold on to the warm weather a little bit longer. So it feels like a good time to review some of the shooting I did this summer. It turns out that 2023 was one of the wettest years on record in the West, meaning that even in the deserts, landscapes stayed lush and green all year. Rivers and streams jumped their banks. Storms filled the sky for most of the summer, putting on quite a show. It was an extraordinary year, and there's probably not going to be another one like it in my lifetime. And that's why I'm so glad to have been able to capture some of it on a new film stock, or at least new to me, and really one of the most remarkable films that I have ever used. As I shot the film, I put a lot of work into how it should be scanned. So I played with it and I experimented with it. And you know, throughout that process though, a couple things became pretty clear. First is that it has unusually high resolving power and that its native contrast is really satisfying to the eye. I also saw that it has broad latitude and nearly non-existent grain. But mostly I became aware of its possibilities with color. So these images of storm clouds really stood out. The digital images I took of the same scene, you know, they were fine, but they had color that was simplistic and one-dimensional. The film images, on the other hand, yes, they have much higher contrast, but more importantly, they had a broader color palette, and they really drew out and transformed the colors of the scene in a way that's visually and emotionally satisfying. And I will say that as someone who uses a camera, for the first time, I really felt a direct connection to landscape painting of the West. I got more and I kept shooting it. And this time I was using it for kind of everything, especially the small and even mundane aspects of daily life. I really wanted to just capture images that were about the visual experience of the moment. I mean, all of it really just feels like it's part of the minor poetry of daily life when it's interpreted by this particular film. Encouraged by these results, I wanted to shoot it more, so I dropped some into the Nikkormat and headed to Idaho. In the Boulder and Sawtooth Mountains, the film did a great job capturing things like the color of the most turquoise pond I've ever seen. And even in the rain and the fog, this film delivered a full spectrum of inky greens, from the yellow greens by the water in this shot to the deep blue greens of the conifers farther back. This film really helped capture the mystery and the wonder of stormy mountains. So naturally, I wanted to keep going, but this time I wanted to shoot it in 120 format. But I didn't know if it was available in 120 or not. And you know, the manufacturers aren't always really forthright about what their films are. So based on a clue that I found in someone else's YouTube video, I ordered some Catlabs X100 and put that through the Pentax 6.7. And when I got the negative back, it sure seemed like the right stuff. It had that peachy hue that distinguishes the negative from other color films like Ektar. And the characteristics of the images was really magnificent. I mean, as expected, the depth and fullness of the color palette was really clear, as was the richness of its contrast. In medium format, it flawlessly renders details, and its silky grain is pretty much invisible. This shot, you know, again, it shows the nuances in rendering the greens. And then also in medium format, I gotta say, it's hard to tell on YouTube, but it's so detailed that this image has sort of that haptic, almost sculptural quality that's more often associated with large format images. It really allows the lenses to shine, to show what they're capable of. And finally, in this shot, the way it captures the warmth of the day's last light on the wood, the cool shadows, the contrast, and then the amazing detail just speak volumes to this film's abilities. So for me, the gift of this film is that it's so capable of capturing, interpreting, of drawing out color in ways that digital and other film stocks don't. It really has led me personally in directions that I would have had difficulty moving in on my own. So that's been a really wonderful education. Also, I want to emphasize how flexible this stock is. Because of its superfine grain and its generous latitude, it could really stand up to some pretty heavy editing after scanning and still look great. It takes a lot to make it turn to mush. So for all these reasons, the technical, the aesthetic, the personal, I think that Kodak Aerocolor may be the best color negative film stock ever made. It's different from other film. It's different from digital. It really is its own thing. It's versatile and flexible without being neutral or middle of the road in any way, which I think is terrific. I will say that for the best results, you'll probably want to scan it and color correct it yourself using like a flatbed scanner and advanced software. The film leads heavily towards the violet/purple end of the spectrum, so it takes some good tools and a little bit of practice to correct it well. And you know, I know that there's a lot of videos out there praising this film stock for its inherently warm tones, which I think what they don't mean warm tones, they just mean that it has a warm color cast or hue to the image. And you know, one theory I have about that is that maybe those folks are looking at lab scans that have had too much yellow added, kind of overcorrecting for the violet, thus giving the images that warm color cast. It's a theory anyway, because I've been working with this film for a few months now, and I can't make the claim that it's inherently warm. In my experience, it does a good job capturing a wide range of hues in all their nuances. Anyway, I'll put links to some suppliers in the comments below. And you know, if you've shot Aerocolor yourself, what was your experience like with it? And if you have a different favorite color negative, feel free to sing its praises in the comments below, but let's keep it clean, folks. Let's not talk about Portra 400. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.